Two, one. Welcome to 90 and a little extra live. My name is Adeyemi Adesanya, and if you know me, you know I'm reporting straight out of Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you join me today on a very special edition because I am joined by African journalistic royalty. If you're on Twitter, you know Lotfi Wada, often controversial but always straight to the point, doesn't mince his words. Great guy all around, and he believes and breeds African football. Lofty, welcome. How are you doing today?
I find praise be to God. That's a very kind description, I would say, and very, very congratulating description. And thank you for the invitation again.
Thank you. Welcome once again, and thank you for never turning down any of my invitations, any of my invites. New on the show is Francis Galtho. If I mispronounce your name, please correct me. Francis. Francis is from Kenya. He also likes football policy and also helps investigative journalists. I say he's a journalist, whether he likes it or not. Francis, welcome. Also, can I say Francis is almost in the same category with Lofty? He's also often controversial with his stance, but in every controversy, you can see the elements of facts, pure facts. Francis, welcome to 90 Little Extra.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for hosting me. It's great.
All right, so let's get into it very quickly. Let me start with Lottie because he's from North Africa, and let's give them their deserved place, pride of place. They dominate African football on the club scene. They have the biggest leagues on the continent, whether we like it or not. And of course, true to form, the two champions on the African continental scene are from North Africa. Al Ali just won last week, and then Raja Casablanca also did the same thing as well. So, Lofty, what's your overall thought about the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup this season?
Well, I think we have seen the same old song as we sing it since a long time. As you remarked perfectly, it has been again dominated by North African clubs and notably Egyptian and Moroccan clubs. As Raja took the CAF Confederation Cup after beating in a game which could have been way easier. GSK Billy, sorry, it was good to see, by the way, GSK back on the spotlights of African football, as many have maybe forgotten it. But GSK is a giant of African football, sleeping giant, and now it was their first, I would say, final since maybe their golden era at the beginning of the millenary, if I'm not wrong. And Raja won the second. CAF Confederation Cup in 3 years, I think, after 2018 and now 2021, under the leadership of a Tunisian coach. If I can put a little patriotic point, they won it. They won it quite easily. It could have been easier, I would say, but they put themselves in this position. But they won it deservedly, and as said. Like it was the case, I think I said that also in our previous meetings, but like it was the case for Berkane against Pyramids last year, and even Zamalek against Berkane in 2019, I think those teams, and notably Raja, are big fish in a small pond. Raja shouldn't have been there if there was a bit of, let's say, footballing justice or whatever of common sense. They shouldn't be in a competition like the Confederation Cup. With all my due respect for this trophy, they should have been playing in the Champions League when you see their budget, etc., etc., and the rest and their history. And as it was the case for Berkane last year with Pyramids, and even Zamalek a year before in 2019 when the title was won against Berkane again. So they did, I would say, if I can sum up quickly, they did what they have to do. They won the title in a I think it wasn't even surprising. Even the fans, they won the title. You saw the reactions. It was good. Always good to win a CAF, an African and the continental title. But the fans they knew in a certain way in themselves that they didn't think that they didn't do something extraordinary or something monumental feat. They did the job in a certain way, and there were even, for instance, to give an idea, there were even fans asking for the head of the coach after they just won the trophy. Although it should be everything Alice in Wonderland or whatever, but they asked for his head, and now they will face in the Super Cup. I think, yes, it will be the Super Cup. Yes, they will face in the Super Cup, which will be, by the way, as we talked about the North African domination, it will be very possibly the 97th North African. The 97th club title won by a North African club, which speaks volume in a certain way. They will face Al Ahly, which won easily against Kaizer Chiefs, from what I saw. Deservedly so. Also, they won the Champions League against the Kaizer Chiefs team, which was sorry for our Kaizer Chiefs friends. They were there beat by a fluke, because God knows how they managed to eliminate Wydad, in the semis. Because Wydad dominated, as I think you saw, that they dominated home and away, and God knows how they missed those chances, notably Ayoub El Kaabi. But Kaizer Chiefs made it for the first time to the final, and we saw the gulf in class between this Al Ahly team, which is maturing after many years, after the losses of 2017 and 2018 against North African opponents. They are maturing, and now after spending, let's not forget, because it's a formidable achievement, but they spent, let's say, something like $35 million or something like this since they last win it in 2013, before those back-to-back titles. Let's not forget, because we're all happy, and it's formidable. It's all right. We all celebrate this success, etc. But let's not forget that they have spent a lot of amount of money, more than almost all African clubs combined. For instance, Raja, Wydad, and Esperance combined, and they managed to finally win it just 7 or 8 years later against Kaizer Chiefs, and last time against Zamalek. So yes, I would say the project is the Ahly. The team is maturing, and they have now won the title twice, and we shall see now what will happen in the future. But they have cemented. They have done what very few teams have done. You had the Esperance lately. You had the Enyimba. You had the greatest Ahly in the history with Manuel Jose in the 2005, 6, and 7 and 8. And now let's see if they can repeat this. But they have done, and they deservedly beaten Kaizer Chiefs on Saturday, and deservedly won this crown this year.
All right, so thank you for that. Let me come to Francis, because I think I would say myself and Francis are almost in the same shoe or the same boat. I'm from Nigeria, Francis is from Kenya, and our teams are unable to, compete with these guys in North Africa. And let me quickly put something in quick context based on what Lotfi said. He said, Ali, this is thanks to a friend of the house, Lou Adams. Ali spent 35 million euros on players to chase the 9th CAF Champions League title. They added, the 10th CAF Champions, they added Badr for 1.7 million euros, Taha Mohamed for 1.1 million euros, Walter Baya for 1 million euros, Ahmed Ramadan for 650,000 euros to win the 10th CAF Champions League. Quality is expensive. How can we in West and East Africa catch up with these guys? Because I have to be sincere with you, I do not know any Nigerian team that can spend 35 million euros. I don't know any. And I'm sure you don't know any East African team that can spend 35 million euros to close the gap on these guys.
I think the problem is the mindset. The mindset in North Africa, where I've gotten an opportunity to work severally, is very different from the mindset in Africans. For instance, recently we saw at what can we call it, like a flow chart emanating from Simba, saying that their participation in the Champions League is not financially beneficial. That means they're spending more than they receive. However, that's not the mindset. You don't expect to win one tournament and it will elevate you out of poverty. If you change the mindset and start playing football for your own people, giving back value to your sponsors, to your fans, to your country, where you monetize at every opportunity, including selling jerseys, selling your TV rights, optimizing them to sell them in other regions, optimizing your social media, optimizing the players' social media. You cumulatively, you're going to create so much value, which will in turn now enable you to earn the revenues, and participating in the Champions League will be a bonus, so that whatever you've invested, it will grow exponentially. So we have a wrong mindset in Africa, in this side of sub-Saharan Africa. Nobody wants, very few clubs are ready to invest, to put in the time, the hours in positioning their clubs and their players. And so they are always looking for a quick fix panacea, and you'll find it's also the same club called Simba who are very willing to or very ready to embrace the Super League, because they, in their minds, they think that once we get $20 million or once we get 20 million euros, our problems. No, the problems have just begun, and there's no shortcut. You must put in the hours. You must position your club in a way that it benefits from the changing times. And I'm not seeing clubs doing. In fact, where we were 10 years ago and where we are today, I think most of the clubs in sub-Saharan Africa are far off.
Francis, go on.
Yes, so I hope the clubs, as now we move on, the conversation is changing about the Super League. The conversation is changing about, we can't be having North Africa dominating football all the time. They are using talent from the rest of Africa. Why aren't these clubs unable to, if not retain the talent, develop new talent? We are now at a crossroads where there's this powerful force which is bringing a new idea and a new initiative, and then we are also trying to fight to maintain. And I had posted, I had commented in an article on goal.com earlier, where I said we haven't exploited the full potential of the CAF Champions League. We want to kill it even before exploiting its potential. And at a time when even the ordinary African does not know or does not even follow the CAF Champions League or the CAF Confederations Cup, but they know more about European football. But you see, European football, they are not where they are by coincidence. And we were having that same discussion last week on the Twitter space with Lotfi and everyone else. We were saying that the European football is not by coincidence. It's not by chance that they are where they are. They are commanding the audiences and the fanatical support that they are in Africa. Is because they have invested. You will notice every year there is a trophy tour. Before the COVID hit, there was always a trophy tour of the British, whatever, the EPL trophy. They will bring one of their stars. They will bring one of their fans. They come here. They engage with media and fans, in a select environment. And we will never see that. Like the Kenyan, I will speak from the context in Kenya. There is not a single trophy alone, which is like every sponsor comes with their own trophy. Like I saw every sponsor will come with their own trophy, branded with their own name, which is crazy. They are not even investing in the simplest of things which attach and create emotional support, create fans, and the Europeans will always be a step ahead of us. And I was telling them again, the La Liga is opening an office in Africa, and they are busy. I saw yesterday, like they did an advert with some some African media guys. They did like an advert promoting a new Adidas ball or something. So they are a step ahead. But you look at the African clubs and sub-Saharan African football, the officials of those areas are brainstorming ways of how to block people from even coming to the stadiums. They are brainstorming ways of blocking initiatives which are going to grow them, and we'll always be playing second fiddle to Europe and to North Africa. That's our problem. Over to you.
But
You make a very okay, Lotzi.
If I can add something to the very good words of Francis, I think there's also a cannibalization, if I can say that, in North African football also, because when you see now, and I think you have maybe so that in the past years and even in the past months, there's an exodus of players even in North Africa, in Egypt, notably because we did that last November when Ahli and Zamalek were in the final. You know, when you check their foreigners, their foreigners, they don't come from the sub-Saharan Africa. They come from they bought Aliou Dieng, who was from MC Alger. MC Alger have a certain wealth. They bought Ali Ma'loul from CSS Sfaxien. They bought Esperance had Ashraf Ben Sharqi, who was playing at Wydad. Zamalek, sorry, had Ashraf Ben Sharqi, who was playing at Wydad. Mohamed El Najem also was playing at Wydad. So there's also there are Egyptian clubs in a certain way are cannibalizing the rest of their opponents, not only in Africa, but mostly also in the rest of North Africa. When you see players like Ali Ma'loul, Aliou Dieng, and other players. So that's why I think I won't say that the hazard is coming from Egyptian football, but everyone is I would say suffering in a certain way from the huge financial power. Because let's be honest, the Al Ahly and Zamalek in a certain level behind have a financial financial power which is worth and which is on par with some European clubs. Even in my own country, in France, for instance, you see that, for instance, Al Ahly, the players they are targeting when they are targeting foreigners, it's another word from North African clubs. So that's why I think there's a gap also, not only between North Africa and the rest of Africa, but also in North Africa between our Tunisian and Moroccan clubs, and then you have the two Egyptian clubs and three huge financial powerhouses, which will be maybe tough to break out as perfect as many remarked and as said seconds ago.
Okay, thank you, Lofty. Shino Kelechi joins us now. Shino, welcome. Let me just buttress what Francis said. I think, and I do agree with you, that it's a mindset problem. I've been in the studio before where football administrator in Nigeria, Davis Owumi to be precise, who's chairman of Rangers and also interestingly CEO of our league management committee, went ahead and said that the playing on the continent is not profitable. And I told him, I said, look, it's not profitable on the side of prize money. You cannot base your financial projection or your budget on prize money alone. It's a pie. You need to bake the pie with different ingredients, which comes with commercial, your marketing, your match day revenue, and all these things. But my people here only look at prize money. And you can't base the pie on prize money alone. So I do agree with you that it's a big problem with mindset, and that's why the North Africans will continue to be ahead of the rest of Africa. Like Lottie said, they are signing even the best talents across North Africa. We in Nigeria are signing third-rate talent from across West Africa. We can't even sign players from East Africa because that issue with paying salaries on time and a lot of nonsense. So let me bring in Shino now. Shino, welcome. You're on mute. You're on mute. let me see if I can unmute Sheila myself. Okay. You are on mute. Sheila, unmute your mic. I can't unmute you.
Oh, guys, sorry, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes.
Good to have you.
First and foremost, I apologize. There's a lot of people in the house, and it's Salah. Then my internet decided to be CAF for a minute. It just went friendly and it went quiet. So my internet is not doing the Super League yet. My internet isn't doing the Super League yet, but I think it's acting funny.
You're fine, because I'm actually, as I'm doing this, I'm actually praying silently that my internet doesn't mess up before we finish. So let me give you this, Let's look at Pitso Mosimani's comments after the Al Ahly win with respect to African coaches and the respect that they get. Do you agree with his comments? And do you think that, yes, it is true that we need to give African coaches more opportunities and, of course, more time?
Well, I've been a very strong supporter of African coaches, and I believe African coaches deserve the same backing, support, financial backing, as well as professionalism that top clubs in Africa give to the Caucasian or the European coaches that come on the continent. I just think my only concern with what the phrasing of the words of Pitso, the moment and the time he decided to say this, I think we have to be very careful here when we are saying we should lock out the doors on European coaches from coming to Africa. Yes, Pitso has managed to earn the standard and the respect that he's getting so far because he has worked hard for it. He earned the stripes in South Africa. He's gone to Al Ahly and he's undoubtedly become one of the most successful black coaches on the continent. So he is within the right and he has the ability to say what he has said. I just think sometimes we just need to be very careful with our phrasing. African coaches, yes, deserve all the respect they get, and they need to get equal support like their European counterpart. But for Pitso, I just don't think you can drum support for your fellow African coaches without having to put others down. It's like saying European countries should lock their doors out for Africans to come and contribute their professionalism to European football. Personally, I think we just have to be very careful with the way we say things and how we say them. Stephen Keshi, God bless his soul, said the same thing about Tom Samphier back in the day. And it was considered to be a racist comment because Stephen Keshi said the white man should go back to his country. And Belgium was where Stephen Keshi started his professional career. The Belgians didn't chase him back to say, go back to your continent to go and earn a living. So I think we have to be very careful about how we say things. You can criticize and talk to your football administrators on the continent without having to push some people under the bus by insulting people, by being racist towards them, or by making certain comments. Yes, South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Tunisia, we all need to support our coaches. We all need to respect our coaches, and we all need to give them all the respect that they deserve. If a foreign coach has not earned his stripes, he won't get a job on the continent. Do we respect European coaches more than we do ours? Yes, I agree with that. But I just think we need to be careful about our wordings, our moments of saying things, and the phrases that we use to describe certain situations. That's just my stand.
All right, then I agree with you 100%. We just need to be careful with the choice of words and the way we present this. So if you're joining us, please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. I'll take it. And if you have any question for my guest, please feel free to drop your comments and questions in the comment section. Please keep it clean. So let's go into the biggest issue on the continent as we speak. That's Africa Super League. And Whilst I find it very hilarious that we can, on one hand, collectively criticize one confederation or members of a confederation for trying to go a particular Super League way, and then also on the other hand, on the African continent, are willing to embrace that idea. I find it quite hilarious, but hey, this is why the world. This is what makes the world, tick. This is what makes the world go round. So let me start with Francis. Francis, when you first heard about this plan, how did you feel?
Well, we have been on a constant fight since the last 3 years when things started going south in CAF. When I think there was some there was a corruption scandal associated with the former president in his office, and things have not just been working ever since. If you can connect the dots from when Fatma Samura came in, which was August 2019, and everything just started going south. We terminated the Lagardère contract, and nothing was going to come out of number one, FIFA running CAF, and number two, up the policy of isolation and discrimination. So it has been very unfortunate that successively over those months, we have seen deliberate efforts for to lock out even not just football from the fans, but even football from the journalists. You see that most of the meetings these days are held, and the matches are either held in Qatar or even or in Morocco behind closed doors, because there is a general tendency of wanting contempt for Africa, contempt for even the journalists. It did not come as a surprise to hear that there is a section within FIFA who want to create their own closed league so that they can be enjoying it on their own. And my hope is that, especially the fan-driven clubs in Africa, the fans pick up. They are targeting the big clubs, which is like Al Ahly. They're going to target the clubs with fans, Kaizer Chiefs. We don't expect much from Simba because it's owned by an individual. So we are just hoping that the fans from the clubs which have been earmarked and the journalists from those countries can be able to rise and say, stop the African Super League because it is discriminative. The Champions League, the Confederation Cup, they draw their cumulative value from participating with these big clubs. You will not know, but there is such a heavy impact, there's such a big impact when, say, Al Ahly takes a player from a small club, or even they may not take them directly, but the player, they are going to get solidarity fees, the small club, when the player moves from this club to the other one. And that money is so important, it can help pay salaries alone for maybe the whole year for a club in, say, Sub-Saharan Africa. So when you're locking out these clubs, you're looking out even the talent progression. We are not only looking at the clubs, you're looking at the talent, the individual players themselves. One day there's a player somewhere in this country who dreams to play for Al Ahly, who dreams to play for Kaizer Chiefs. You're inevitably telling that locked out completely. The turnover of players will not be as high because they will stick to a certain formation, they will stick to a certain objective. Which is the objective is to win the big money, and to win the big money, what do? You get they will start even sourcing for players outside the continent. You start seeing transfers even from Europe if the stakes become very high. I don't mean it in a discriminative way, but I mean that the smaller clubs, the ones who play with these big teams in the preliminaries and the formative rounds, they really bank on these exposure. This small exposure goes a long way. We are seeing a lot of discriminatory practices with the way CAF is being managed, with the way they handle the meetings. Last week they had an EXCO meeting and they had somehow forgotten. They were talking amongst themselves, and we could hear them literally saying that, "Oh, we are going to say that we are delaying." They were literally talking about how they're going to censor journalists from asking questions from officials and administrators. So if the administrators want to be accountable to the fans and to the media, who do they want to be accountable to? And so we are asking and we are hoping that the media in the big clubs, the media in the countries where the big clubs are being targeted, we are hoping that the fans there join us, like the fans of Liverpool. You know, they went and stormed the homes of and even the offices. I could see the owners were at pains to apologize for even accepting to be part of such a ridiculous proposal. So we are hoping that pressure comes from the fans. So if it's fans, they have a very strong fan culture. They have their ultras who are still there. We are hoping that they rise against this abomination called the Super League. We want to bring Africa together. All these people who are trying to recolonize the continent through football, it is distasteful.
All right, so let me come to Shino. Shino, let's look at it from this perspective. How does, and I'm going to be looking particularly at the role of Gianni Infantino in all this. How does Gianni Infantino stand on one side and condemn the European experiment or the European, attempt, and then in another breath, he's giving his full backing to the African model? On what foot can he stand and make such a claim or such a decision to push forth a particular proposal when you were very clearly and strongly against another proposal in another confederation?
Well, I think when you don't respect yourselves and you invite invaders to come and take over your country, this is what you get. They throw everything at your doorstep and you just have to swallow it and eat it like that. I think those responsible for African football they've sold the soul of African football. And I don't think, with due respect, I don't think these guys really care about African football. I said with due respect because I don't want to sound very insulting and disrespectful to headers. In Africa, we have to respect our headers. But when the headers have practically left themselves open for criticism, I think you have no other thing but to call them what they are. They are unprofessional, they are selfish, they are greedy, and they are heartless. Heartless people take heartless decisions. Football is the pulse of the continent. People talk about it. Football is so powerful. And this situation right now didn't just start now. Remember when Ahmad invited FIFA to come and colonize Africa back then, with the FIFA Secretary General coming into the continent to dominate events in Africa. It clearly shows that those executive members elected to run African football should have been impeached, and all of them should have gone away, and we should have started afresh. The moment they sold the soul of African football to Gianni Infantino, he could try to do as much as he wants with the continent of African football. And that's why the Super League that failed to... Remember, Africa was the first place where Infantino tested this idea. He said it to them, and these clowns clapped their hands and just danced like hungry masquerades in the middle of the market. Why? Because the all-conquering FIFA president said it, and they have to accept it. Africa is a peculiar continent struggling with its own challenges and problems. Everyone on the continent will say, "Oh, we won the FIFA grant. We won the FIFA grant." Even when Mr. Sepp Blatter was the president of FIFA, I have never seen African football ridicule itself to this extent. When Issa Hayatou, the elder statesman, was in charge of African football, FIFA could not come here and dictate to Africa how they want them to do. So the idea of Super League, like you said, why because he knows that there are a bunch of clowns there who have nothing to offer but just applaud anything thrown on their laps. So that's why they could all dance. And I'm not sparing them words now because we've shown them respect. But what they need is not respect. They need to be called what exactly they are. They are a disgrace to African football. The Super League will not work in Europe because the fans are so powerful. They run events, they run shows. African football fans, as well as the press, were quiet when all of this nonsense was going on the continent. Gianni Infantino could not go to Asia, could not go to South America, will not try with Caribbean, but he can try with Africa because he knows all of these people, all of them have something. He's got something on all of them. I don't understand. So how is this idea going to work? He came up with the idea, pay $20 million, come and join an exclusive club. I don't know any club in Nigeria that can bring out $1 million. I'm not even talking 20 million to come and be part of something. $1 million clubs, the biggest one, Enyimba, two-time African champions. They cannot even bring it up. He talks about
Should I still there? That's why I lost you there. Okay.
No, I'm still here.
Are you still there, Shino?
It threw numbers at the CAF executive. Hello?
Hello, yeah, I'm listening.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
so
I can hear you.
Numbers at the executive committee of CAF. He told them about the ideas. They were all sinker. They just took everything like that. They were happy. Now, Europe, they tried it. Perez and the rest of them, Liverpool, all of them. It could not even last 24 hours. The ESL did not last 24 hours. In Africa, it's been going on. The talk has been going on for a year, and we don't even know how it's going to work. But the so-called CAF president, Mr. Patrice Motsepe, you can be a billionaire, but if you don't have the idea of how to run football, you don't have any business coming here to come. You can have money. That you have money does not mean we have to sell our souls to you. So if he's listening, if he's hearing, I'm disappointed because I cannot teach a billionaire how to be a billionaire. I'm not even a millionaire. But I think he had no business coming into African football. He had no reason to come in. And he's turned himself into a puppet. Every idea that FIFA has, I've never seen a puppet billionaire. So I don't know because I've never been a billionaire before. So if he has so much money, I don't think he has so much integrity, in my opinion. They've sold the soul of African football. The African Super League should not stand, should not be something we'll be talking about now. Because you want to enrich a few club sides and tell the likes of Accra Hearts of Oaks, Enyimba of Nigeria, Enugu Rangers, club sides in Dynamos, all these other traditional clubs from Africa. Where are they going to get this money from? Why don't you improve on your CAF Champions League, where the prize money is not even up to what? 1.5 million, I stand to be corrected. And some clubs spend over $5 million to prosecute matches in the CAF Champions League. So now you want to create a Super League. You said every 54 member countries are going to benefit from it. These people must think us a fool, man. But I think clearly now, we may be too young during the era of slave trade and all that. But now I see why our forefathers were taken away from the continent. This is how it all started. It will be one of your own. It will be those people elected to run African football who just can't even do the basic, that have now sold the soul of the continent to FIFA president to try the idea of the Super League. There can never be a Super League in Africa because Africa is not ready for a Super League. Why should Africa be ready when you are not even ready for your own CAF Confederations Cup and CAF Champions League that you haven't even really properly? So that's it.
Interesting. If you have any comments, please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. Let me come to Lotfi now. Lotfi, it's interesting that the whole talk about what happened in Europe, the fact that he destroys the entire pyramid of football in Europe compared to. So how does that not also do the same thing to African football? So one of the excuses they gave is that it will allow African teams. Lost, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. Yes, and
Okay, good.
to be honest, I don't know if I can answer if you have finished your question. I don't know how it will benefit, and as said, Francis and Oluwashina, I don't know which club can enter the $20 million per year, because even I will talk about our North African perspective, but even a club like El Ahly can't put the $20 million a year. Even Esperance, maybe Esperance will give it in yogurt, as I was saying, or I don't know, in cakes or whatever, or in cream. I don't know. But honestly, jokes aside, nobody can put the $20 million on the table on the annual pass. I think it's the name of the thing. Nobody can put the $20 million, and to go back on the on your first question, I don't see also how it can benefit clubs, notably because, even if we put the pure numerical things on the table, on one side, sorry, it will take a bit of the charm of the Champions League and even of African football, because we were all, I would say, raving and even criticizing sometimes about those games your teams has to play in Djibouti in the middle of the afternoon at 40 degrees or whatever in an 70s astroturf, etc., with 5 people in the stands, etc. All those games in the middle of Congo with 50,000 fans shouting, etc., against Sanga Balende or whatever. So it will take also the charm of those games, and as they would completely disappear, as Francis and Oluwashina perfectly remarked. So it will take on the pure romantical aspect. It will take those games out, and we wouldn't have such games. And that's why also I can't see also more of the financial aspect, because except maybe if they give a certain percentage of the receipts, if it happens, to the associations, I don't know how they can benefit. For instance, let's say, I don't know, for instance, let's say Djibouti, let's take again Djibouti. I don't know how they could benefit from a Super League, even more if there's no, as there would be no Djiboutian clubs in the competition, except also, as said, if they are given a certain percentage of the income generated between quotation marks, obviously. So that's why also, let's not forget also about the unfeasibility of the Super League, the traveling also. It's absolutely, and Francis and the elders Francis and Oluwashina know it better than me, but it's extremely complicated to travel on the continent. Just for instance, to give you an idea, it was just last February, there was Setif, and it made a bit the headlines in African football Twitter. Steve were playing a team in Chad. They found, for the joke, they found the doors of the stadium locked, and it cost them this home and away trip costed them, more than $2,000. So just for a trip in Chad, it was a preliminary one game, and that gives you just more of the financial burden, which is the tribes and trips, and also the financial power, I would say, of certain clubs. And Steve are a relatively comfortable club, I would say, on the African scene, on the financial aspect. So that's why there are plenty things there are plenty things which are saying that technically and realistically it's impossible in a certain way to put it in place, because it's a project, I would say, if I can sum, it's a project completely disconnected from the economic realities, as said, for the annual pass which should be paid. It's completely disconnected from the economic realities of African football, and even from the fans, and even from the other realities of African football.
Okay. I do agree with you. I think first and foremost, it's a complete departure from the realistic things happening across African football. One, from a financial standpoint, from a player standpoint, from a fan base standpoint. Because one, You're talking about an African game that's suffering from fans, from a lack of fans, So you're talking about an African football that is suffering from finance, from poor finance, because the whole plan just seems like has similarities with the European plan. Why am I saying so? The European plan also had, a lot of figures being thrown all over the place without addressing, okay, how are we going to come across these figures? How are we going to get to these figures? How are we going to walk to those figures? How are those figures going to be generated? So it's interesting that Africa has also followed the same path, but because of the backing of FIFA, is making this plan look like it's going to be a reality. And let me now come to Francis. I said, one of the problems that I have with this idea is the fact that they claim that it will help Africa keep its players for longer. And I don't agree with that. Players will go to wherever the money is.
Yes. Exactly. It's a free market. There is no way you can claim that the clubs which have been unable to keep the players for so long, suddenly through magic or sorcery, nicknamed or christened as a Super League, are suddenly going to stay in the continent. Well, first of all, why do we want to forcefully make players stay in the continent? They move with the money, they move with their career progression. So there are all these lies, and number one, there is no feasibility study they have presented to the world that this is why we are doing this, because they know the next question we are going to ask them is, you as Fatma Samura, you as Gianni Infantino, you forced the CAF Executive Committee to terminate the Lagardère contract in November 2019. They had promised them delusions of grandeur with a deal from Dalian Wanda that they will come and take over the CAF rights. None of them has been. We are now in 2 years without a sponsor or a management company which is going to handle the rights, the commercial rights. So if you listen to Gianni Infantino, I mean, I've never met a pathological liar like that in my life. Everything he says is just a lie from day one. He's been saying that this is going to happen. Now, if you look at the Super League, I don't know what all countries. And the good thing is that this whole story has debunked the myth of the billionaire businessman Forbes list. I don't know what. Everyone was hopeful and optimistic that Patrice Motsepe. First of all, why was FIFA expending all that financial capital to campaign for somebody? If he is the right person, if he's the right candidate, Africans would have voted for him. But somehow they went into boardroom deals, and that's where I started smelling something fishy, because it wasn't making sense. Why are you desperately pushing for this particular candidate who's on paper, he looks like he meets the criteria, he fits the bill, he has all that it takes, he's a billionaire. But this billionaire cannot even deliver even one sponsor. They are on their they are actually on their third executive committee meeting. Every time they are going, they are not talking anything about structural reform that is needed in CAF to avoid the problems that made the previous office fail. They are not talking about any institutional reforms. They just concocted some audit report by PwC, which was used to witch hunt members of staff from CAF, not necessarily to make it any better. They are trying to create space for some 11 staffers who are coming from Zurich, from FIFA head office. So they are coming to take our jobs. So these guys are coming to take African jobs, and they are trying to tell us how Africans are going to benefit. No, this is their project. They want to make money off of it. They want to engage in capital flight. They want to remove our money from the continent and take it to Zurich and keep it in their own pockets. These are sophisticated conmen. If you look at them, these are frauds of proportion, people who literally don't care about Africans. And it's high time we stand up. You, everyone, all the journalists, we stand up. We say, come on, man, you have taken FIFA are very smart. They allowed every FA president to engage himself in some corrupt activities. And then they control also the FIFA ethics chamber. And so anytime any FA president seems like he wants to offer a dissenting opinion or he wants to go against what they've been told, they'll just remove the file and you'll be given a warning. And you'll be told, if you speak again, you're going to be banned. And that's how FIFA is being run. It's being run like a kangaroo court. FA presidents have no voice there right now. Even if they want to speak, you speak immediately like this, you're banned immediately. So these are not, they are not running it in best practice. They have been flagged by the Council of Europe in the manner with which they handle their recruitment, the way they are appointing their committees. FIFA is literally, you've seen how they've bungled the investigations in Switzerland, where Gianni Infantino was facing criminal prosecution, and then suddenly the case has collapsed. I don't know, this judge was his friend, the other judge. They are running it like a complete mafia organization. And if we allow them to take over African football in the manner, they can take it over in a few. But if they start implementing this league, please let them be at least honest about us. Let them come and say, we just want to steal your money. But then let them not tout imaginary benefits. Let them not hawk imaginary benefits and give us narratives which are concocted. No, we know this thing is not for us.
Okay, so Francis, let me take one of the comments we have. Abongile Nzipi, please pardon me if I didn't pronounce your name well. He says, I think we have to have a discussion about the Super League. We need to have a clear understanding from CAF about the Super League. At this moment, CAF is not generating money from both CAF leagues. Yes, they are not, which is not anybody's fault here, but their fault. Like Francis alluded to, if I were Mosepe and I am a billionaire, as he's supposed to be, within the first few weeks of my being sworn in, I would have gotten at least one sponsor through the door, because it is part of what I would call prepare yourself for the job. Throughout that campaign period, you should have been having conversations with some of corporate Africa who is supposedly connected to. And then you would have brought them through the door by now and would see where we're going. Secondly, the huge issue about broadcast rights continues to be a big problem for me. I don't know why we just can't get African football out there. I had a lot of people who were surprised when they heard that the CAF Champions League had gotten to the final, because nobody was getting to watch it unless you have to go through all these, streaming networks and what have you to find African football to watch. So they have failed thus far. If anybody is watching the Olympics, Zambia just lost to Netherlands in the in women's football 10-3. And I will go back to what they did under Ahmad Ahmad with the restructuring of the qualifiers and making it supposedly regional. That's why that result came up. Africa has not sent its strongest teams to the Olympics. Abongile says again, PSL in South Africa is assisting clubs with 2.5 million. That money is coming from sponsors. Well, if I do remember, and Lofty and Francis can correct me, CAF struggled to pay the prize money from the last AFCON. They struggled to pay, so I don't know where they will see the money to support clubs or the federations across Africa. Thank you, Abongile, for your comments. If you have any other comments watching, please feel free to drop them as we head towards rounding up. So let's come to Lofty. So we're in this position, right? I don't want to say we're in an inevitable position, but I do know that there's a lot of work to be done. If you were Motsepe today, knowing that the situation we're in is dire, what would you be doing differently?
I would definitely, if I was him, I would just do one thing before anything else. I would take decisions by myself, because it's evident and clear as crystal that he's just taking his decisions by telephone from Zurich, obviously. So it would change a lot of things. if he would take the decision by his own brain, or let's say by his advisors, let's say it would be formidable. But now he's taking them from Zurich, and that's what everyone, and I think where everyone is sad, because and people have this feeling that African football, and as said a journalist, a Kenyan journalist, Daniel Wahome, he renamed CAF a department of FIFA, the African department of FIFA, and how right he is, obviously. And so for me, if I was him, I would definitely first of all try to take decision by myself, because just for self-honor, take your decision by yourself instead of waiting patiently from a phone call, from Zurich or whatever. Because even in terms of dignity, I wouldn't be. I am a president. I am the richest man, if Africa, correct me if I am wrong, and I have to take decision, and I have managed a certain African club, and the South African club, to the heights of African football, and I have to receive, and I am waiting patiently, like a Muppet. I am waiting patiently from the orders I receive through a phone from Zurich. That would be that's an absolute humiliation, I would say, for such a man who has done formidable things, like he's, if I'm not wrong again, he's one of the richest men in Africa or whatever. I would feel very humiliated, and would do everything possible if I was in his position to find a certain independence, because it's humiliating. I think maybe it's the first time in his life, I don't know the rest of his life, but in his sporting career, through Sundowns, or even I think he had the role in the league in South Africa. I think he sponsors a league. This is the first time he's the man who is receiving the orders, and those are not even bad orders. So I would feel humiliated if I was in his position. I have read many average people on Twitter, whatever, and God bless them, because it's their point of view which is important. They say that he should resign. Personally, I wouldn't go this far, but I said he shouldn't take his orders from a mobile phone, but from his head, the head which made him one of the richest man on this African continent.
Okay, let me come to Francis. So, Francis, how can Africa get out of this situation that we're in, where FIFA seems to be overbearing and controlling the affairs of African football? How can we get out of this mess?
It's a tricky situation, but where there is a will, there is a way. We have seen our current football officials are unable to withstand the weight of the disruption that is being brought by Zurich. So it is up to you and me. All hope is not lost. It is you and me to always speak out against these efforts, these process to recolonize Africa. And it's very unfortunate that the entire Africa stood with South Africa when they were under apartheid rule, and now it is as a South African who is helping the Swiss people recolonize us. It is very unfortunate. The South Africans themselves should also rise up against and ask their nominee to CAF to tell, let's all speak out. Well, keeping quiet, silence is consent, and our silence will not help anything. Our voice may not do much, but it will definitely do something. So right now, our football authorities are unable to withstand the pressure that's coming from Zurich. So it is up to you and me to constantly fight everything that we are seeing wrong in the spirit and in memory of the great Amir Fahmy. He's the one who started all this. He's the one who called out corruption. He was a Secretary General in CAF. He stood there and said, no, I will not be part of this corruption. And he created an opportunity for these monsters. It's so unfortunate. He did not know what he was doing, but he created an opportunity for these monsters to come and devour African football. So we owe him now that in death, we owe him that last respect to fight to secure the integrity, the autonomy, of African football. Let's reject, all of us resoundingly reject all these efforts to recolonize the continent. Let's call out our FA presidents in each country, those who are seemingly defending Gianni Infantino, those who take selfies with him, those who constantly say that he's the best thing to happen in African football. We have to call them out and tell them that they are selling the country short.
Francis, this is a direct shot at Nigeria. You have just taken a direct shot at Nigeria.
And Tunisia also.
You are just taking a direct shot at Nigeria, because, but you make a very valid point, and I'll tell you why. Isn't it ironic that in the same breath that CAF is saying that the Super League will allow African football be able to hold on to its players more and longer? Not so long after, the president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ahmadu Pinnick, said something in the United States when the Nigerian home-based Eagles played Mexico, and said that he would not be issuing transfer certificates to players who are looking to go to smaller leagues like Cyprus and what have you. That is only if they're going to the big leagues. Is it not ironic? Just look at that coincidence. Just look at that coincidence.
He has no power because he can be sued at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Why are you denying the power to move so that you can keep him there against his own will? No, come on, man. These are the anti-competitive practices we don't want to encourage with CAF Super League.
All right, guys. Time has been fast spent. I know we can go on and on and on and on about this. Thank you to all those who joined us and the guys who dropped comments. Thank you to Shino. I do know what Shino has gone through today. The networks can shame you. In this hour, they can shame you. But thank you very much, Francis. It's great to meet you once again. Thank you for joining in. And Lofty, as always, I always appreciate you for your insight and never turning down my invitation. Thank you very much, guys. Hopefully, Africa will wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, Africa. It's about time we took our pride of place as a foremost continent in this world. We can't be suffering on the economic side and now suffer on the sporting side. No. It's about time we said no. Thank you very much, everybody that's joined in. It's been a great pleasure having this conversation. And to my Muslim brothers and sisters out there, once again, Baraka Tasala. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.